Assume anything, we're going to go through an introduction here rather quickly and then just get right to the Q&A part. But we wanted to make sure you fully understood what the opportunity is with community solar.
Are you going to have this again?
Yes, but you might, yeah, you got that.
You know, first and foremost, and I'm
We
going
got
to
time
both
right now.
lead in
Yeah.
and
We'll be doing
end
this
with
one.
the same thought. Why are we doing this? Yes, renewable solar energy is great. It has lots of advantages, but the primary rationale for us doing this and wanting to do this now is that we know that it is the best way of reducing carbon dioxide emissions from electricity generation. And the Public Utility Commission, well, to start with, the legislature almost 3 years ago now passed legislation requiring Xcel, the primary generator here for the metro area, to offer solar gardens. We have a lot of aspects of the community solar gardens that we want to talk about, but you know, we're UUs here, we're not Iowa Republicans, so I probably don't need to talk about the value of solar energy per se. Just I want to re-emphasize time and time again that, you know, the two things we're trying to do is to have a dramatic impact on our own of carbon dioxide emission, and also that the urgency is paramount. My slides are a little slow here. So if we dig into the details, what happens if we all, if not even if we all, what is the impact of a community solar garden here? Our consortium, or our coalition of 5 congregations, has determined that we think we could get out of our 5 congregations perhaps 900 residential subscribers in the program. And if we did, if we were successful with that and with our churches, we could actually save over 8,000 tons of carbon dioxide every year. That is an enormous impact. In FUS, we think we can probably do 90, maybe more, of residences, and just our subscribers alone could save 750 tons of carbon dioxide every year. So there are 2 basic cost models for community solar gardens. One is where subscribers pay a lot of money up front, and then they've bought it, kind of invested in a part of the solar garden. And the other is a pay-as-you-go model, which is the one that we focused on very early and is really the key, we think, for widespread acceptance. The way that it works is that the solar panels, let me go to the next slide. The solar garden is created by the developer. Built, obviously, it costs a lot of money to build one of these. That produces electricity which is sold to Xcel Energy. We as subscribers, whether it's the individuals or our churches, become subscribers, and we pay a monthly fee based on the expected amount of expected amount of energy that we are consuming. In return for that long-term commitment on subscription, Xcel was required to deliver us a bill credit that could be either typically 100 or 120% of our electricity cost. The advantage of this is that it basically means that the subscriber almost pays nothing, because this is money that you would have paid to Xcel, and instead you're paying it to the solar garden developer, and Xcel is crediting you more than that amount on your monthly bill. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, this is too good to be true. There's something wrong with this." The rationale for this is probably based on a couple of key components. One is that the rate at which Xcel is required to buy this electricity is actually higher than the current market rate. And that means that there's a margin there that the solar garden developer can use to generate their return on that investment. All we're doing as subscribers is promising the developer that we're with them. We want to encourage that investment in solar energy. Secondly, the advantage really to the solar garden developer is that they have this long-term commitment, and it makes it very easy for them to say, you know, if I look at all the analytics and the numbers associated with building this solar garden, this actually is a very good investment for me, just as a financial investment. So it's got to work for everybody here. You could argue maybe it doesn't work for XL Energy because they're in the business of producing electricity, and now they've got to buy electricity from the solar gardens. But this is because the legislation is pushing and forcing them to accept solar energy as part of their commitment. There's a lot of other issues associated with this. I'm not going to go into them right now, but you know, that's the nuts and bolts of why this works. And let's try not to hit the wrong button here. So exactly, you know, a typical scenarios here, an average Minnesota home might use 800 kilowatt hours each month. The subscription size could be 4 kilowatts, it could be 8 kilowatts. I mean, kilowatts and kilowatt hours are not exactly the same, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But the point is that your utility bill then shows what the credit is for that solar power production. And we're going to see in a little bit what that actually looks like in terms of the a typical Excel bill. And the next time I try and do this with a tablet instead of a written text, I'm going to just give it up. First off, if anybody's interested, and you know, I can make all of these available to you. I just want to, if you're interested in how these numbers work, you know, the difference between power is measured in watts and energy is measured in watt hours or kilowatt hours. The average Minnesota home uses this much energy. That much energy might take 8 kilowatts of power to produce that. And of course, solar panels only produce power when the sun is shining. So there's a lot of other factors that go into that. But the solar garden subscriber can purchase up to 120% of their average energy use based on their last year or 2 years of energy use, which is one of the things that we will supply. Solar gardens can look like a lot of different things. These are small scale arrays on rooftops. What we're talking about here is going to be a field-based array. Typically, this could be up to 6 or 7 acres for a 1 megawatt solar garden, which is the size that we're looking at. This is the typical size that our developer wants to make available. It's also the size that's been legislated to be the ideal size as far as the Public Utility Commission, Excel, and the developers are all quasi-agreeing on. One of the nice things about it is that these panels are guaranteed for 25 years, so that's why everything is based on 25-year commitments, 25 years of financing, 25 years of solar power production. One of the other nice things is that at the end of 25 years, these could be upgraded, or if it turns out that it's no longer the ideal location, they can be removed and the field is restored to its original non-use, because obviously these are going in typically in fields that are not suitable for farming. But the other thing is that there's a pollinator pledge that is either formal or informal, where the developers are promising to make sure that all the plantings underneath this are pollinator friendly. Again, getting kind of a two-fold advantage out of a solar garden, not only the solar production, but also the availability of pollinator plants.
And I would also say that there would not be fertilizers and pesticides that would be going on this So you would be reducing all of that as well. So there are many natural resources type and environmental aspects for this.
So again, I touched on a couple of these, but I mean, the key incentive here behind the whole program is actually the issuance of these residential energy credits that the developers are using to basically create the financial viability of these solar gardens. Now, there's a lot of other factors here. Important to know that subscribers are not buying, they're not investing per se in the hardware. We're leasing the energy service. We've made the analogy a lot of times to a cell phone contract. You're agreeing to be part of this whole process, but you don't own the towers, you don't own the switching infrastructure. In the case of solar gardens, you don't own the panels, you don't own the interconnection systems. Those are all owned by the developer and or the interconnect systems are owned by Excel. But the advantage, of course, is that the subscribers have no investment liability. If the solar garden doesn't happen, there's absolutely no cost. If the solar garden stops producing for an extended period of time, there are no fees paid to the developer. Obviously, an incentive for the developer to maintain. So there's a lot of protection built in, but nonetheless, there's still risk factors. And in the course of the past year, this team has really spent a lot of time going over these contract issues with a number of different developers. And we have really, over the past 6 months, made a commitment to a company called Minnesota Community Solar. And they're also supported by another provider called Novel Energy Solutions to be our partner on this program. They are in a very good position in the fracas at the Public Utility Commission and Excel called the interconnection queue. In other words, the developers lined up with some, I don't know, 400 projects or something like that, and all wanted to get them in and approved. Well, again, because of all of the haggling over some of the details, only a very small number have been approved. And Novel is in a very good position now to service customers of ours. And when I say ours, it is a 5-church consortium in this, or in a solar coalition. We have teamed up with team members from here, First Universalist, Minnesota Valley UU, Unity, and Oak Grove Presbyterian. We have also reached out, and there may be others that want to join us, and we're certainly fully open with that. But we spent a lot of time going over these things, and when all is said and done, we have a lot of legalese. We also had an attorney review. When we got it pretty well close to finish, we had an attorney review it for sanity and legality issues. And we think that we've come up with one of the best packages, and we know that it's going to be used as a template for other community partners of Novel Energy from now on. But let's talk about just a little bit about some of the deals. A typical residential subscriber has to denote their interest, provide your Excel info. There is also going to be a FICO credit limitation. We really didn't want it, but again, the financiers feel that it's important for them to manage some of their risk. The actual FICO score is still being debated. It may be 650. It was 700. We know it'll be at least 680, and it may go down from there. But the registration merely says that I'm going to be interested in hearing more about this. Bill?
Would you explain more of authorized FICO credit?
Yeah.
Does that mean that people with a credit score less than that cannot take part?
That's probably true. Yes, that's correct. We're still trying to, with our developer and their financiers at this point in time, they feel that that's a minimum requirement. We have looked at ways to try to minimize or evade that issue. You know, and to be candid, in order to get this moving quickly, we just didn't feel that we had the ability to force them to take lower numbers, or better yet, eliminate it. You know, in our mind, anybody that's got an Excel account should be eligible for this. We're not there yet. It may still evolve, but as of today, there probably will be a FICO minimum requirement. But the actual FICO score won't be evaluated until later. Obviously, some people, if they feel that it's going to be a problem, then, you know, it may be self-limiting. But the point is that, you know, you certainly can still enter into the registration process. It just, you may not be able to participate later on. So it goes from the registration to the subscription agreement. When all the information is in the registration, including your Excel usage history, at some point in the near future, probably 60 or 90 days from now, I'm guessing, they will then complete a formal subscription agreement that they will send to you. This is about a 6 or 7 page document of a lot of terms and conditions. It does probably important to know that there is a 25-year commitment implied here, not implied, in writing.
By the individual subscriber or the organization that they're...
By the individual, but there's a lot of ways to transfer or eliminate the subscription. We're going to talk about those in a second, Steve. If it's accepted and a subscription is accepted, at that point, not until the array is built and it's producing solar energy will there actually be any fees and credits on the Excel bills. About that 25-year thing, as we were talking about, there's actually a lot of different